Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user GenTube0. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give up my vacation days so my coworker can go on her honeymoon? I work at a small company where vacation time is pretty limited and we have to request it months in advance. I put in my request almost a year ago to take a 2-week vacation during the holidays. My plan was to visit family who live out of the country, something I only get to do once every few years. Recently, a coworker of mine who's getting married came up to me and asked if I'd be willing to give up my vacation days so she could go on her honeymoon. She apparently didn't realize how quickly the days would fill up and waited too long to request her time off. Now, the only way she can go is if someone cancels, and since I have one of the longest vacation blocks, she came to me first. I told her I was really sorry, but I can't give up my time. This trip means a lot to me, and it's the only time I can see my family this year. She wasn't happy and told me I was being selfish for not accommodating her once-in-a-lifetime event. What if she gets divorced and remarried? Now, a few other co-workers are chiming in, suggesting I could be more flexible since I don't have special circumstances like a wedding. I feel bad, but I also planned this trip far in advance, and it's important to me. Am I the a-hole for not giving up my vacation so she can go on her honeymoon? No, OP, you're not the a-hole. She asked you, you said no. That should have been the end of it. What's the saying? Like, your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency for me or something like that? That's absolutely applicable here. It's on her. Maybe she should go to some other co-worker that can also cancel their plans for her and call them selfish or something like that. Or any of those other co-workers who feel so happy chiming in, maybe they can give up their holidays for her. Now, the other solution that she has is see if she can reschedule the honeymoon. Other than that, she's kinda effed because, well, she dropped the ball on that one, didn't she? So, no, OP, you are most definitely not the a-hole. This trip is important to you, you wanna go see your family, you go ahead and enjoy your trip. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Spoopy says, not the a-hole. I am assuming she planned her wedding for a while. It's not your problem that she didn't think ahead. Enjoy your vacation. Believe Hype 1616 says, just say, I'm sorry, my trip is non-refundable and expensive. There's no way I could undo the plans I've been making for a year. No other words necessary. It's on her and on the company to decide if they could make an exception for her special event she badly planned for. Amazing Reality 2980 says, not the a-hole. You are not being selfish. Her poor planning does not constitute an emergency for you. That's the one. She should have planned better and put in for the time off as soon as she could. Now she's got to deal with the consequences of her procrastination. If she or your other co-workers keep giving you a bad time about this, take it to HR or your boss. It's not okay for them to be pressuring you and guilt-tripping you about this. They are bullying you and creating a hostile work environment. And Penelope Shoots says, I took my honeymoon 6 months after the wedding. There is no rule that it has to happen after the wedding. She's being selfish. How do they know you aren't visiting sick family? Just tell her it's an important trip, you can't exchange it, and don't give details. If she asks for details, say you don't feel comfortable sharing private information with a stranger. You work together, but she treats you poorly, so really, she's a stranger no matter how friendly you thought things were. To be honest, didn't realize how quickly the days would fill up. Sounds like they didn't plan the wedding much in advance. It haven't been planning it for years, maybe a short time, and figured people would bend to them. They can reschedule if they only started planning recently and pick dates that line up for both the wedding and honeymoon. Alright, well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and that she should just go on her holiday. This is all on the coworker, and if she keeps bugging her, she should go to HR. So now, let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. Wow, I didn't expect my post to blow up like this, and I honestly can't thank you all enough for the support. I've been reading through all the comments, and it's clear that a lot of you feel as strongly as I do about keeping my vacation. So, after my last post, things got interesting at work. A few days after I turned down my co-worker's request, she sent a long email to me and CC'd our entire team, basically calling me out for ruining her wedding plans and labeling me as unsupportive of a once-in-a-lifetime event. Yeah, it was a lot. I was caught off guard, but I kept it professional, responded directly to her, and explained again why my trip was non-negotiable for me. I thought that would be the end of it, but then our boss called me in for a meeting. It turns out my coworker had tried to go over my head and get my vacation days reallocated to her. Thankfully, my boss was super understanding and confirmed that because I booked my time first, it's mine to keep. However, things got awkward when he asked if I would consider a compromise, like offering her a week of my time and keeping one for myself. I stood firm, telling him that this trip is one of the few chances I have to see my family, and I need the full 2 weeks. Since then, my coworker has been giving me the cold shoulder, and a couple of other coworkers have been dropping passive-aggressive comments. One even said, "You'll probably be that person who refuses to switch shifts with a parent during the holidays." Ouch. But here's the kicker. Another coworker came up to me and confided that they had been pressured to switch vacation days with the same person in the past, and they regretted doing it because it messed up their own plans. So now, I'm glad I stood my ground. I'm not sure what the long-term fallout of this will be, but one thing's for sure, I'm not giving up my vacation. I need this time with my family more than ever, and I refuse to feel guilty for prioritizing that. Also, thank you to everyone who reassured me that standing my ground wasn't selfish. It's easy to second-guess myself when the pressure mounts, but the overwhelming support here has made it clear that I am not in the wrong. Well, OP, good for you for standing your ground, and your boss gets half a cookie for backing you up because he had no choice, those were the rules, but him asking you to consider a compromise? F that, this is on the bride. You go and enjoy your vacation. So on that note, here's wishing you the best in the future, OP. Thanks for sharing and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Deleted. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding because of her husband? So I, 29 female, I'm getting married in a few months, and I decided not to invite my older sister, Emily, 32 female. Before you judge, here's why. Emily's husband, Jake, is a nightmare. He's rude, makes inappropriate jokes, and always tries to dominate every conversation. At family gatherings, he interrupts people, brags about his job, and even talks down to my fiancé, Mike, 30 male. The last straw was at our engagement party a few months ago. Jake got drunk and made a speech, uninvited of course, where he joked about how I finally found someone who could put up with me. Everyone was uncomfortable and Mike was furious, but we let it go to keep the peace. Fast forward to wedding planning, and Mike and I agreed we didn't want Jake ruining our big day. I called Emily and explained that while we love her, we didn't want Jake there because of his behavior. I even offered to have a separate celebration with her after the wedding, but she was livid. She said I was forcing her to choose between me and her husband, and that it was cruel to exclude her because of him. Now, my parents are upset too, saying I'm tearing the family apart. But I don't think I'm in the wrong for not wanting someone who disrespects me and my fiancé at our wedding. Am I the a-hole? No, OP, you're not the a-hole. It is yours and Mike's wedding, and you guys get to choose who go or not. Now, I don't understand one thing. You are not inviting Jake because he's an a-hole, but you're also not inviting Emily just because she's married to him? I would have given her the choice and say, you know what? I love you. I don't love your husband. I don't want him at our wedding, but you can come if you want to. That could put her in a tight spot, but it's what you guys want. I'm sure she knows her husband is an idiot. I'm sure she knows how he behaves with you and Mike. So just give the choice to her and you move on with your wedding and your planning and focus on that. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Delight Puff Girl says, not the a-hole, it's your wedding and you have the right to control the guest list, especially if someone has consistently disrespected you and your fiancé. You even offered a compromise with your sister, which shows you're trying to be considerate. While it's unfortunate that your sister is upset, your wedding day should be about celebrating in a comfortable and positive environment. Miss Moonlight Love says, it's your wedding day and you have every right to decide who attends. You've given your sister an alternative option to celebrate, so it's not like you're excluding her completely. Your sister's husband has shown clear disrespect, and it makes sense that you wouldn't want someone who makes everyone uncomfortable to be part of such a special day. Your sister is understandably upset, but that's more about her choosing to defend her husband's poor behavior rather than acknowledging your feelings. You're not tearing the family apart, you're simply standing up for yourself and setting boundaries. And Clean Paris says, not the a-hole for wanting to create a positive and respectful environment for your wedding day. It's completely valid to want to protect your space, especially from someone who has made you and your fiancé uncomfortable in the past. Your feelings about Jake's behavior are legitimate, and it's understandable that you wouldn't want that kind of negativity on such an important occasion. Alright, well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole because it is her and her fiancé's wedding and they get to decide who comes. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Thanks so much for all your advice. After reading through the comments, I decided to talk to Emily one more time before making any final decisions. I wanted to explain how deeply Jake's behavior had affected me and Mike, and why it was important to have a wedding where we felt respected and comfortable. We met for dinner and I laid it all out. How Jake's behavior at the engagement party crossed the line, and how it wasn't just about one incident, but about a pattern of disrespect. I told her I loved her, but I didn't feel like I could allow Jay to be at the wedding. I also made it clear that I didn't want to lose her as a sister, and I hoped she would understand why we felt this way. To my surprise, Emily was really receptive. She said she had been feeling conflicted about Jake's behavior too, and that it was hard for her to admit that he was wrong. She apologized for not seeing things from my perspective sooner. Emily actually said that while she still loves Jake, she's noticed that his attitude has been causing problems in their marriage and with other family members too. The biggest shock? She offered to talk to Jake herself. She said she didn't want to miss my wedding over his behavior and would explain to him why it was best that he not attend. I was honestly relieved, but also worried about how that conversation would go. A few days later, Emily called me and said she talked to Jake. Apparently, he was upset at first, but eventually agreed not to come to the wedding. Emily told him it was about maintaining family peace and supporting me on my big day. She reassured him that it wasn't a permanent ban from family events, just a decision to keep the wedding atmosphere positive. Jake wasn't thrilled, but he agreed to stay home. Emily will be attending the wedding on her own, and while things are still a bit tense between her and Jake, I'm grateful that she chose to support me. We're in a much better place now, and she's even helping me with some last-minute wedding prep. As for Jake, I'm hoping that this situation might be a wake-up call for him, but for now, I'm just happy that my sister will be there on my special day. Wow, good for Emily. She had the tough conversation with Jake, and hopefully he will take this as a wake-up call and do something about his attitude before it ruins his marriage, which apparently is already kind of going towards the rocks. In any case, OP, here's wishing you and your fiancé the best in your wedding. Take care and thanks for sharing. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user DisPandaPressed. Am I the a-hole for not splitting my college fund with my dad's affair child? My father dropped a big bomb on our family last year when he revealed that he had a secret son from his affair years ago. After my mom found out and gave him the ultimatum, he cut things off with the mistress, and she moved away until last year when she introduced him to their son, Hank. I really don't give a damn about his latent father instincts since he didn't give his other family any consideration when he broke the news. Thank God my mom divorced him, and now neither my brother Connor, male 18, sister Sophia, female 15, or I want anything to do with him anymore. Here's the thing though, we have a shared college fund that my mom's parents set up for us when we were little. My parents contribute almost half of the money and my maternal grandparents contribute the other half. The account remains under my mom's control after the divorce. As far as I know, he stopped contributing to that account after the divorce. Last month, I found out that my dad's been harassing my mom because he wanted to add Hank as a beneficiary to the college fund for my siblings. He's saying that Hank is his son and therefore entitled to the college fund that he set up for me, Connor, and Sophia. My mom told him off, and now he has been going around harassing her online and to their mutual acquaintances and friends, claiming that she is heartless and cruel for taking her anger out on an innocent child. And then he also had the genius idea to reach out to me to put pressure on my mom. He said I should consider opening up my heart to Hank, who grew up without a father and wasn't set up in life like my siblings and me. I left him on red since honestly, the things I wanted to say to that callous evil monster may be too much. Yesterday, he changed tactics and now said he wanted to withdraw all his part of the money from the account, divide them to make sure Hank has his share, and deposit the rest back into the account. The caveat was that since Connor and I didn't need to use the college fund for tuition since we both had full ride scholarships, the money would be divided into 2 parts for Hank and Sophia instead of into 4 parts for his 4 children. And now him, some of my dad's side of the family, and even the mistress are pressuring my mom to agree to that, and I'm praying that she won't. It physically makes me angry that we're being asked to split our money with my dad's affair child. Even if yes, I don't need to use the money to pay for school, I will need it in the future. Same with Connor. And I know for a fact he would never use the same reasoning to exclude Connor and I from the fund just to have the money solely for Sophia in the same situation. It's all for Hank. I understand that Hank is innocent and not responsible for his parents' actions, but I don't think of him as my brother. Hell, I don't even think of my father as my father anymore, to be honest. As far as I'm concerned, my family consists of me, my siblings, and my mom. That's it. So, am I the a-hole? Well, OP in short, no, you're not the a-hole. Your dad is the only a-hole in this whole situation, and the mistress as well. Hank is also innocent, as you say. He's not guilty for what his parents decided to do. But still, sharing that fund with him, it's something that you get to decide if you want to do it when you get the money. It's not something somebody should force on you. So if you don't want to do it, that does not make you the a-hole. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Special Respond 7372 says, not the a-hole. He can deal with his crappy decisions. The divorce is finalized. He can't go back and change the terms now. Additionally, it sounds like he didn't put in most of the money. It sounds like he at most put in 25%. Either way, he no longer has any claim to it. He can take out loans for Hank. Accidentally Witchy says, not the a-hole at all. Where does your father get the idea that he set up this fund when it was your grandparents on your mom's side? Do his family members know the whole story? And OP responds, yeah, that man's delusion is out of this world. His audacity is truly unmatched. My paternal grandparents know and support us. I know my grandma has been trying to get him to back off, but he unfortunately doesn't listen to her. It's mainly my dad's brothers who are joining him to harass my mom. I don't know if they know the full story or not. Since grandma and grandpa know, I feel like they do. And Tricky Jellyfish 341 says, here is all that matters. The court gave the money to your mom. Make sure she doesn't cave to pressure. If your dad gets any money from the account, it will be your mother's fault. Tell your dad he's free to take out as many loans as he needs to fund Hank's education. Alright, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and if the dad wants to fund Hank's education, he needs to do something about it that doesn't involve taking OP's money. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. First of all, I'm 23, Hank is 14. Now the update. I talked to my mom this morning about getting the lawyer involved and also about a potential restraining order. She has been talking to the lawyer about dad's demands, and it looks like he really doesn't have any rights to it. I think some of you are correct that he is doing all this because he knows he won't win in court. As for a restraining order, mom is hesitant to do it right now since dad has visitation rights with Sophia and she doesn't want to make it too complicated for my sister. But she promised that if things get worse, she will get one. My brother Connor and I also talked, and we will be taking turns coming home from the weekend so mom and Sophia won't be alone just in case anything happens. Some clarifications. We haven't involved my mom's parents since their healths aren't the best right now. Grandpa was so shocked when he heard about the cheating plus the secret son of my dad that he had a heart attack. Thank God he's mostly recovered now. However, none of us want to put stress on him. According to Dad, he never knew about Hank's existence until last year when his mistress came back. Nobody in our family knew really until Dad brought Hank to a family event to break the news to us. He blindsided and humiliated my mom, and it was the final straw for her. They divorced after that. I honestly don't hate Hank. It's just that right now, I can't imagine spending time with him. He's a minor still, so everything will have to involve either our father or his mother, and that is a no for me right now. Perhaps in the future, things will be different. Who knows? Thank you everyone for the amazing advice and words of support. I really appreciate it. Well, OP, who really knows what the future may bring? The one thing that's certain is your dad's not touching that money. So here's wishing you all the best, OP. Take care and thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.